Hi everyone, welcome. Lovely to see everybody. I'm just going to put my view onto gallery view so I can see the faces rather than myself. So welcome everybody who's here on Zoom and anyone who's listening live on YouTube. And this is the last of 4 conversations that we've been having on the topic of what is truth. And if you haven't seen the previous 3 conversations on what is truth, or the 4 conversations we've done on what is awakening, then there's a link to the playlist in the description box under this YouTube video. So as I was contemplating this topic, what is truth, what came up for me was, what do we mean by truth? I think that's the place I always start, is what do we actually mean by the words that we're using? So we're going to contemplate this from a few different angles and using a few different teachers and teachings. And of course, we have to have some poetry, because it wouldn't be anything involving Susan if there was no poetry. So make sure that you've got something to write with and something to write on, because I will be asking you to do a little bit of contemplation. And it's funny actually, because one of the poems that I'm using today, I just could not find the exact poem that I wanted to convey what I wanted to convey. And then all of a sudden my WhatsApp pinged, and it was my dear friend Patty with a new poem from Fred Lamotte that is perfect. Fred posted it on Facebook 2 hours ago. So we'll get to that. So what is truth? So is it a relative, subjective thing? Meaning, is it personal to us? Is it we even hear that being said, don't we? Well, my truth is, my own truth is there a truth like that? Or is there some universal truth that we can all agree on? What does spirituality have to say about truth? Is truth a concept? Is it just some kind of lofty philosophical ideal? Or is there some kind of living reality to it? Can it be known? If it can be known, how can it be known? And if it can be known and we find out how, why would we want to? What does it give us? What's the point of all of this, rather than us just having a nice wee discussion? Like, what really is the point of truth? What is it? So I want to ask you guys, first of all, if I just ask you the simple question, what is truth? Just if somebody said to you, I know you're interested in all this truth teaching stuff. What is truth? Type in the chat. If you're here in Zoom, type in the chat what truth is to you. If you were just really put on the spot and you had to answer that question, what would you say? Kendall says, truth is the purity of what is. Thank you, Kendall. Someone else said, that which never changes is eternal and infinite. Someone else said, honest. Someone said, the absolute. Someone said, a personal experience of knowing. Someone else said, there is only one thing happening. And someone said, that which cannot be threatened. Thank you. I stopped saying your names there because I realised that we are going out live on YouTube, so you may not want your name spoken. Thank you for those. Carol said, what is now? Then I just break what I just said. Someone else said, something that always stays the same. Someone said, each and every moment of now. So we can see common themes coming out there. Something that is now, something that's always now, something that always stays the same, something that can't be threatened or can't be changed, is eternal and infinite. So already we're starting to see that this truth, whatever it is, has some qualities. So I went to the dictionary. I thought, what does the dictionary say? So I went to Merriam-Webster because I know that that's a kind of American, well, I'm assuming it's an American dictionary. I always hear people say Webster's dictionary says. So Webster says the body of real things, events and facts, the state of being the case, a transcendent, fundamental or spiritual reality. So from your comments in the chat and from what Webster says, truth seems to have these qualities. It's real. So when I saw the word real, guess what I did? Back to the dictionary. What does real mean? Having objective, independent existence. It's fundamental. What does fundamental mean? It serves as a basis that supports existence, or it serves as the original generating source. It's transcendent. It's beyond the limits of all possible experience and knowledge. So, with these definitions and with what we've already said, we're kind of plunged into a bit of a mystery. What is this thing? You know, we can say it's got some qualities, but what is it? And if it's transcendent, and if transcendent means it's beyond what can be experienced and known, then why are we doing this? Why are we even interested? If we can't experience it and we can't know it, what is it? So again, it's real, it's fundamental, and it's transcendent. And remember, jump in at any point if you want to say something or share something. It has independent existence, which means it's prior to and not dependent on anything. It supports the existence of everything, and it's beyond what we can know and experience. It's beyond what the mind can know and experience. So what do we do with this? Well, A Course in Miracles begins with, sounds very similar, doesn't it? Real, remember these three words, real, fundamental, and transcendent. Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened. Somebody said that in the chat, didn't they? It's truth is that which cannot be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So maybe that gives us our why. Why are we interested in this? Because understanding what truth is, understanding what is real and what is unreal, and knowing where we are, herein lies the peace of God. So, if real means having independent existence, what about us is real? Is the body real? Does it have independent existence? Did we make ourselves? Did you think, do you know what? I fancy this body. I'm going to just have this one here, this size, please. We didn't, did we? We don't sustain our own body. I was thinking about how breath, we have an absolute connection with the universe via the breath. We breathe in oxygen. Without oxygen, we'd be dead. So we need the whole thing that we're in for the oxygen. The oxygen comes in, we breathe out carbon dioxide, the trees take in the carbon dioxide and they put out oxygen, and so it goes. And so we do not have independent existence because we can't breathe ourselves. That's a very fundamental part of us. So the body does not have independent existence, and therefore the body can be said to not be real by that definition. Doesn't mean I don't have one, because you can clearly see I do. It's wearing a pink dress. Same with our food. You know, we are dependent on the universe. We're dependent on the earth to grow the food, to all the people that we're connected with. We're constantly receiving from the environment. Truth is fundamental, and the definition of fundamental was that it supports existence. And I love that verse in the Bible in Acts chapter 17, maybe, that says, "In him we live and move and have our being." You know, we can put aside the word him, that you know, obviously it goes with that particular tradition. But in truth, in this field, in whatever this is, we live and move and have our being. And it's transcendental. It's beyond the limits of what we can experience or know. So, as I said, if truth is beyond what can be known, and it's beyond what can be experienced, what does that mean? And why are we interested? Because we are all interested in the truth, or we wouldn't come to a talk called What is Truth? So I recently, Mel.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, please do interrupt me anytime you want.
Okay, thanks. Well, I was funny in Bill's book group where we're working on the Gospel of St. Thomas. Okay, and just by chance, I turned on the back cover of it, and it's the very back cover says, "How do we know something is true? Is it because our friends or family say it is so, or those who live in our land or our government, or even because 100 million people say it's true? No, the only way we know something is true is if it resonates in our heart. That inner yes in the deepest part of our being is the only voice worthy of our trust. Why? Because deep down, we all know the truth and we all have the ability to recognize it. So maybe somewhere within us, we can know it, not intellectually, but within the heart." So,
Yes. Oh, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you, Mel, for sharing that. Yeah. And there's something about you've pointed to something really important, that it doesn't mean it cannot be known or experienced. It means it can't be known or experienced in the way that we know. You know, I know that the tree outside has got green leaves on it. It's somehow known by some other faculty. Amy, please.
This is so great. We just came, some of us just came from a talk that Jenny was giving.
Mm.
And so Sandra was there, and and I would love to have this discussion. I asked, Jenny said something about intelligence being, the not the arbiter of truth, but intelligence being, oh gosh, people help me out. Intelligence being that which allows us to distinguish what is true and what is not true. Right? And so I raised the question about emotional intelligence, and emotions being a form of recognizing truth as well. And Jenny's response was essentially that intelligence includes love. And so I wanted to just put that out there and just ask you if you would say something more about that, Susan. I know that how does love relate to truth? Right? How does intelligence relate to knowing truth?
What do you mean by intelligence?
That's the question. I think Jenny meant consciousness, awareness without duality, pure awareness. And that's where I get a little bit hung up as well, because I think intelligence in our language means something like having a high IQ.
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
which is why I like the term emotional intelligence, because it implies a greater expansion of what intelligence really is. So I just throw that out there. You know, how do we recognize the truth? Through knowing, as Mel just talked about, knowing it. Is that a form of intelligence? You know, we are, like you said, we're all searching for the truth. We all want to know the truth and be connected to the truth and live the truth and be the truth. But how do we recognize it?
Well, I think the quote that I'm going to read next answers that slightly, but it points to something, because who is it who seeks the truth? What is it in us that is at all interested in any of this stuff? So I'm going to read a quote from Francis Lucille, that was in a video that he did recently. And the person, was asking about, I can't remember the exact question, but it was asking about, what is it that's interested in any of this? What is it that knows anything? And Francis said, you find yourself interested in the truth, but it's something that has happened just as you catch the flu, in a sense. In other words, the alleged person has nothing to do with this business of becoming a truth lover. It is love. It is grace. It is the shift of the direction of our life force away from the world back to presence. And it's not something we decided, and he said, it's not as if we just decided, for the next half hour, I think I'll just shift my attention from the world back to presence. We don't make that decision, although we may claim it, like the clown that takes the bow. At some point, we realize, for some mysterious reason, and I want to really highlight that word mysterious, that we are less interested in the world and more interested in the truth, God, consciousness, whatever we call it. And this is the meaning of the word conversion. Literally, conversion means a turning away. It's a turning away from the obsession, I suppose, with ourselves as the separate human entity to the mystery. Like, what is it? I'm not here to say this is right. What is truth? Okay, truth is, write this down, guys, and then you'll know forevermore. Each of us are drawn to it and explore it and realize it for ourselves. So I think that. Thank you, Amy. Sandra, please. Hi, Sandra.
Hello.
Hello.
This is so beautiful. I love this discussion. When you first asked the question, what is truth? How do you define it? I could not answer. Everything that came into my mind was, yeah, I used to believe that was what the truth was. I used to believe they were verifiable facts, that scientists could prove. And I could not come up with an answer. But then when Mel read what Cameron McCall said, that's it. I know it when I hear it. I know it when I experience it. But I cannot put words to it. And
isn't it? That's it.
I
That's
know
exactly what it means to know and experience something without conventionally knowing it or experiencing it. It's
Yeah.
a mystery. Yeah.
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 And when my very first awakening experience was because I read something that I knew was true, and it was like, boom, everything looked different. It was an instantaneous, yes, that's true. That's it. But defining it is not possible. but knowing it is possible.
Thank you. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
And when we use the words intelligence and IQ and emotional IQ, and we can add spiritual IQ, but none of that is quite it. Like it is all of that, yes, but that isn't all of it. Again, because there's no, because those are words,
Yeah.
right? And what it is, yeah, it can't, well, I don't think it can be put into words.
Yeah.
Because that limits it. And if what we're talking about is ultimately limitless, then how can we have a word for it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that just reminds me of, I've got this little book on my desk, the Tao Te Ching, translated by Stephen Mitchell. The very first words of the Tao Te Ching is, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. So exactly what you said, the minute you say it, it's not it. That's why we often hear teachers saying, if I was absolutely going to speak the truth, I would have to stay silent. Yeah. Thank you. Just want to see what's in the chat. It can liberate us, set us free. We come to see that perception, all of it is a lie, and we can have a chuckle and move on. There's no separation, therefore truth is love. We recognize it by the experience of peace in the moment, the absence of the feeling of confusion in all experience, feeling at home in home. We do not know it as an object, it knows itself. An italicized know or knowing, or capital K know and knowing with a capital K. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So we're saying that knowing the truth comes to us as a kind of grace. So we're going to contemplate our first poem. It's one that I wrote myself. It's called Grace Comes. And as we do, I'm just going to read it a couple of times because I always think you need to read a poem twice. And I think most of you are familiar with my kind of method of contemplating poetry. So, as I said earlier, if we're here in this room or we're listening to this video later, clearly grace has come because we have an interest in the truth. And so, as I read it, contemplate how grace came to you and what it has to say to you just now. So again, it's called Grace Comes. Grace comes, sometimes with a whisper, sometimes with a brick upside the head. And suddenly, consciousness lifts its sleepy head from your shoulder, looks through your eyes, and whispers in your ear, "Good morning." The day looks different, more vibrant, and you find what you always thought was you shrinking, as this new being is noticed as not being new at all, but your truest self. As the days go by, you start to forget who you were or who you thought you were. And gradually, you give up all resistance to what is. You feel like an alien in a strange, beautiful new world, unable to know anything when once you were so damn sure of everything. Your mantra becomes, "I don't know, yet infinite intelligence is right here. I don't care, though the love you feel could blow the roof off." So again, grace comes. So how did grace come for you? Was it with a whisper? Was it with a brick upside the head, as it was for me? Grace comes sometimes with a whisper, sometimes with a brick upside the head. And suddenly, consciousness lifts its sleepy head from your shoulder and looks through your eyes and whispers in your ear, "Good morning." The day looks different, more vibrant, and you find what you thought was you shrinking as this new being is noticed as not being new at all, but your truest self. As the days go by, you start to forget who you were or who you thought you were. And gradually, you give up all resistance to what is. You feel like an alien in a strange, beautiful new world, unable to know anything when you were once so damn sure of everything. Your mantra becomes, "I don't know." Yet infinite intelligence is right here. I don't care, though the love you feel could blow the roof off. Olenka.
Just gonna share a moment of grace this morning. I digitally stumbled upon Paul McCartney. He was singing "Hey Jude," but he was singing it with Elton John and with Sting and with an orchestra and with this choir. And it was unbelievable. I felt such gratitude. Like I thought, I am so grateful for this. Like it was just like, well, words. But it was so beautiful. And there was such kind of sense of merging with all of it, all the people, the music, the all of it. And it was just, I happened upon it. But the point is that I could, the grace was that I could connect with it, feel it. Yeah. It was really
Beautiful.
quite something. Thank you.
You recognised it as grace.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It really, yeah. It's unmistakable. Just is.
Gorgeous. Thank you. Rona, please.
Hello, it's so good to be here. And the opening was just so delicious. And I loved that you went to the dictionary. Thank you.
I'm such a swot.
Well, and sometimes it's just good to do that to get rid of everything I think I know, because there are so many words that I say, oh, I know what that means.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's about that open. I wanted to share that grace is coming right now for this one, that I very much enjoyed the poem and the line, "Forget who you thought you were," landed in a very profound way. And in feeling what's arising here is that with that declaration, as opposed to the practice of reminding the self, there's no Rana. There's no personal self, which is, sometimes I try to just gently remember that, but it's really not so gentle. It doesn't feel gentle. But that sentence, forget who you thought you were. That really feels like a desire, like an aspiration, and it could be something to be practiced in that moment instead of using a phrase that feels to this one like I'm beating myself up for slipping into a separate self. So there's just that noticing there. And so I wanted to express my gratitude for, present grace, So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really get that. I really get what you said there, that we can use, we can hear teach. That's the difference, I think, between hearing teachings and then kind of trying to fit them into you, and the practice of actually looking at, well, who do I think I am? And where did all that belief system come from? We've all been very well conditioned from the moment we were born, and gently seeing that, is that true? Is that actually true, as an ongoing process rather than the big stick to beat yourself with. So thank you for highlighting that, Rona. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Kendall, for posting the link to the video that Alenka mentioned. William said, for me, the truth is the mysterious, magical, I need to read this slowly. For me, the truth is the mysterious, magical, creative result of what's happening in each moment. And what I call truth is just my deepest and effortless realization of this moment. That's beautiful, Bill. I love that. The mysterious, magical, creative result of what's happening in each moment. Yeah, that reminds me of what Michael Singer said in The Untethered Soul about how, this moment in front of you took 13 billion years of everything being exactly the way it was in order for this to be here. That's what makes it a mysterious, magical, creative result of what's happening, as Bill said. Kendall posted the video. Yeah, and Mary Beth has her hand up. Hi, Mary Beth. Hi.
Hi. Just like to share what I wrote, contemplating grace comes.
Yeah.
And grace comes in moments, again and again, then now, tomorrow. In a whisper at times, as a brick at others, always sublime. And it just really spoke to me as to what I put in the chat too, that truth being a personal experience of knowing. And that's the knowing with the capital N, a capital K. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so when we're looking at truth teachings, I want to refer back to what the Buddha said, which was that if you want to know what the moon is, don't look at the finger that points to it. That's I think that's been kind of translated or repeated as, all teachings are fingers pointing at the moon, but that's not actually what the Buddha said. He said, if you want to know what the moon, so here the truth is, we're saying the moon is the truth. If you want to know what the moon is, don't look at the finger that points to it, which means don't look at the teacher and don't look at the teachings. Look at what they point to. There's many spiritual teachings, there's many paths, there's many expressions. And, I think that at their heart, every path says the same thing. They just say it in different words, expressed through different people, different cultures. So that was one of the things that I wanted to highlight in this talk is ask yourself, am I looking at the finger or am I looking at the moon? And an easy way to ask yourself that question is my spirit, to ask yourself, is my spiritual life concerned with the teaching that I believe is true? Or is your spiritual life concerned with, is the truth true? And what is that truth? So is it about the teaching or is it about the truth? So I'd be interested in what people say about that. Write it in the chat or put your hand up if you want to speak. Kendall said, we truly are on a magical mystery tour. The Beatles were definitely tuned in. Yeah. Carol said, grace for me has been both beautiful and horrendous. All of it has been a light to the other. It's not always perceived as grace in the moment. Yeah, absolutely. One of the poems that I wrote was called Fierce Grace. That was definitely a brick upside the head moment, where at the time I thought my whole life had fallen apart and everything had gone wrong. And it was only much, much later that I could even see any grace in it at all. And now I see it was absolute grace that gave me that brick that I needed to move me to somewhere else. Alenka, please.
Well, I know that, one of the teachings is I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. And it would be something that I'd repeat. And it's the pointer, right? Yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, so? Yeah. Like it made no real impact on me. Like I thought, oh, well, that's interesting, conceptually interesting, but I only recognized it when I actually had an experience of being not my body, not my mind. So the words, which I repeated, I remember, doing Buddhist meditation, I loving kindness meditation and all that for like months and months and nothing, So it ultimately, it's that exactly. I mean, the finger, okay, conceptually, but until I actually descend, I think of it as a descended and had the experience of not being the body or the mind, that then I understood the pointer. It like kind of a flip thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Alenka. Yeah. Kathleen, please.
Yes, what you just said struck me as one of the really fundamental things, which is not, especially about meditation, it's not about an object. It's not about, say, a mantra. It's about who is the mantra appearing to? And it's turning the mind back in on the self rather than anything in the objective world. So it struck me, and a lot of things in the spiritual world don't seem to do that. I know the teachings of Ramana do. That's what self-inquiry is about, is really looking into who is it that is, who is it that's having this experience rather than the experience itself. So to me, that's a very crucial distinction.
Yeah. As long as that distinction is seen not as another concept.
Right.
Because it can very easily become conceptual, who am I? Who am I? Even the neti thing, it can just come, there has to be, as Alenka said, a real experience that then you think, that's what they were talking about. That's what I was supposed, that's what I was supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, because the teaching is not, when you talk about self-inquiry, it's not really explainable. because it has to be experienced. And then you have
Exactly.
to, it has to be an individual experience. And you just keep asking for the grace, or, let me, and it will come, because if you really are truly interested in it, the universe picks that up. So you get it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you. Amy, please.
That was beautiful, Kathleen. So what arises for me in this poem that you read about grace is that truth is the awareness of the now and whatever arises in it, in this single pointed awareness. It's allowing it to flow, whatever arises to flow, to be experienced through me as God's being, and then letting it flow back into that from which it arose. As God's being, what I experience and allow moves back into the intelligence, awareness, that supreme single-pointedness. This, in a sense, is my gift from the small self to the big self. It's all just experience of the unlimited I am, loving to experience its own experience. So I just stand as consciousness and allow what the universe sends to move through me as that. And that's all I can do.
And it's not even a doing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, beautiful. So reminiscent here of what Kendall just posted too. Truth for me is an extended hand, always there. It's up to me to take hold. When you consider the movement of the ocean, the waves, tides come in, and by its true nature recedes back into its true nature, returns to the fullness of the ocean. She just said in different words exactly what you said, Amy. Yeah, thank you, Kendall. That's beautiful. Yeah. Sandra, did you have your hand up? No. So I have some quotations that I want to read to you about truth from various people. So I want you to listen to these, not with the sense that there's something to believe in, but just as those fingers that are pointing to the truth. Don't look at the finger, look at the truth. And because often when we hear things and we're open in this way, we can have a glimpse of understanding. You know, grace can come in the moment. So Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Krishnamurti said, "When truth is repeated, it becomes a lie. Telling it is not the experience of it." Recall the moment when you knew you'd fallen in love. So if you've ever fallen in love in your life, think back to that moment where you knew, I love him or I love her. You could describe it to me. You could tell me where you were. You could maybe tell me what you were wearing and what he or she was wearing, the time, the place. You could tell me it in vivid detail. But no matter how clear a picture you painted, it would only be a description. It would not be the truth of the moment when it happened. Jean Klein said, "It is a degeneration of the word truth to use it in the sense of fact. Facts can be proved, but there's no argument for truth. It is its own proof. All that is perceived is an expression of truth. Everything is grounded in truth, and if we do not know truth, we cannot know its expression. Nothing is autonomous and in this sense real except truth." Remember, we said at the beginning, what does not have independent existence. Nothing is autonomous and in this sense real except truth. Untruth is all that has no autonomous being, which depends on a knower to be known. So think of it in that way, that truth is everything that is independently existing, real, the word is we were using, and everything else is untruth. If the knower knows itself in truth, in consciousness, then all perception is spontaneously grounded in consciousness too. And Francis clarifies this a little bit in his book, Truth, Love and Beauty. We have to think the truth. We have to feel the truth. We have to live the truth. To think the truth is important. And although in the beginning that corresponds to thinking about the truth, so actively, trying to figure it out with the mind, later on, to think the truth means not to think the untruth. And what that means is not to hold on to the notion of being a separate being, not to be attached to your idea of yourself as a separate person, not to keep it. And whenever it arises, to drop it, and then it stops arising. So both Francis and Jean Klein there are pointing to, we're not a separate person. So what am I then? What am I? We're back to Kathleen's self-inquiry. What am I? So now we're going to contemplate the poem from Fred Lamotte. And it didn't have a title, so I'm not sure if he's given it a title or not. So again, get your journal and your pen and just see what comes as I read this poem a couple of times. Neither of the east nor of the west, neither of the left nor of the right. I am here in the centre that seeps through everything. Neither black nor white, infrared nor an ultraviolet. I am green, I am umber, I am 1,000 colours of loam decomposed into the opposite of birth. A choiceless rainbow seed of possibility. Invisible beauty in all that is beautiful. Neither yes nor no. I am the crystal of listening. Neither dust nor bone, mind nor spirit, but the breath that mingles them, threading what is high to what is low, the outer to the inner, like a gossamer mist of crushed diamonds. Of no party or nation, no tribe or faith, I am a citizen of the earth. All religions are mine, all gods point to my heart. I am a ripple of the moon on the ocean of your darkness. I am 7 trillion grains of sunlight sifted through a dragonfly wing. The chime of tiny, shattering amethyst holograms, each containing us all. Or are they merely raindrops in the stillness of morning prayer? So again, neither of the east nor of the west, neither of the left nor of the right. I am here in the centre that seeps through everything. How is truth here in the center? How does it seep through everything? How is it seeping through now in your contemplation? Neither black nor white, infrared nor ultraviolet. I am green, I am umber. I am 1,000 colours of loam decomposed into the opposite of birth. A choiceless rainbow seed of possibility. Invisible beauty in all that is beautiful. That reminds me of the Heart Sutra. Emptiness is form, form is emptiness. Invisible beauty, formless beauty in all that is beautiful, all that is in form. Neither yes nor no. I am the crystal of listening. Neither dust nor bone, mind nor spirit, but the breath that mingles them, threading what is high with what is low, the outer to the inner, like a gossamer mist of crushed diamonds, of no party or nation, no tribe or faith. I am a citizen of the earth. All religions are mine. All gods point to my heart. I am a ripple of the moon on the ocean of your darkness. I am 7 trillion grains of sunlight sifted through a dragonfly wing, the chime of tiny, shattering amethyst holograms, each containing us all. Or are they merely raindrops in the stillness of morning prayer? Thank you, Fred Lamotte, for your ability to string words together like that. Yeah. Anybody have anything to share from hearing that poem? Anything strike you? Did your little internal tuning fork resonate with anything? Amy, please. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. It's a beautiful poem, and it just reminds me of this scientific information that, and I wish I could remember, Susan, the name. It's like this nanoparticle that comes from the center of the original explosion or whatever that is. And there's something like trillions of them that pass through our skin, through 1 inch of our skin every second of every day. And that just like passing through the dragonfly's wing, that's just what I thought about. It is constant bombardment by the original love, the original explosion of love. And we're swimming in it. No, we're bathing in it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that line, like a gossamer mist of crushed diamonds. Alenka.
Well, the beauty of the poem gives a lie to what I said earlier, which is that truth cannot be expressed.
It's a pretty decent finger, that, isn't it?
Exactly. I just thought, okay, well, yeah, you just did it. What I said couldn't be done, or I thought couldn't be done.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So well, please.
I was thinking that
Oops.
when I heard the poem, it really is a pointer to the non-separation. There is no separation. Everything is one.
Yeah.
And in that oneness, all that arises is so magnificent in its own being. And it doesn't matter whether it's a crushed diamond or it's, as you said, the gossamer or the butterflies or whatever that was. The thing that pervades everything is that one consciousness. And once we can see that, life is just a beautiful experience. I thought that's what the poem was trying to tell us.
Gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we only have a few minutes left. Yeah, I'm going to end with a poem by St. Catherine of Siena. Because basically, you know, what we've established, or what we've looked at, is truth is a mystery. It comes to us as grace. We can't learn about it in the conventional means. But it can be known by something, by itself. So this poem by St. Catherine of Siena is called Smells of Good Food. Truth never frightens. I remember once walking out in the winter to greet my father as he returned from work. He was a little late that night, and I waited by a street corner near our house. The cold can enliven, thanks. My wool coat became a sacred robe. How happy I felt to be alive. I waited in a world of magic, smells of good food, the street lamps, the smoke coming from chimneys, the candle burning in windows, the snow. Angels feasted as I did on existence, and God kept saying, have more of what I made. I saw him coming. We ran into each other's arms, and he lifted me as he so often had, twirled me through the air, his hands beneath my arms. That is what the truth does. It lifts us and it lets us fly. So thank you all. Thank you all so much for coming and for your wonderful contributions and conversation. It's just been lovely to be here.